Hello everyone, Luke here, and yeah, doing this quite early in the morning, which is very rare for me. Now, first thing I want to say is that I hope you guys are all well at the moment, given what's happening with the country and the world and everything. I hope you're keeping safe. Hope you're actually staying at home unless you need to actually be anywhere. So I hope you guys are actually doing that. I just wanted to get that out of the way because we're all going through some pretty difficult times now. I mean, I know a lot of the stores, shops are closing. I know my shop's actually closed until further notice now, so I'm out of work, but that still doesn't mean I'm not going to be working on videos. I'm not going to be working on my hopefully I'm not going to be not working on podcasts that I want to do with the Anime Burrito, like the one I did with Kiddo Toku and Tarkus doing Bleach. So go and see that one on the Anime Burrito YouTube page. We had a lot of fun doing that. I hope to do more again with them in the future, especially given these difficult times as well. And and also as well working on the second book in my series. So hopefully I'll be able to do more work with that. But for now, let's just dive right into The Promised Neverland. Alright, so this will be The Promised Neverland chapter 172, titled Free. Now, this might be a reference to the fact that maybe the series might be ending in like the next... I did say at chapter 170 that the next 10 chapters, but I'm guessing it's going to be extended to like chapter 190, so giving it like 13 more chapters, because the fight with Lewis, which I know is absolutely going to happen, like the rematch with Lewis, that's going to take at least 6 chapters to get through because of how difficult Lewis was to actually take down in the first place. But no, this is probably a reference to the fact that they're all about to get free, they're all about to go into human world, or it might be a reference to Piratari and what his stance on everything is. Now, I do have mixed feelings about this chapter, and we'll get into them when we get into them. Alright, so the chapter starts off with a recap of the end of the last chapter, which is Peter and Emma's facing off with each other. If you remember, Peter was thinking about the message that he got from the royal capital. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm just trying to get my brain back into everything here, get back into high gear here. But yeah, Peter received the message from the royal capital saying that everyone, the lapdogs of the 5 regiment houses and Piratari that form the new government of the demon world, that's completely void, and Lewis has taken over, and he's kind of like collapsed and everything. And then he sees Emma coming through a corridor, and he's like, maybe if I can kill her, then their promise can never come into fruition. And he goes on to say, the one who made the promise was Emma, and they haven't implemented the promise yet. As long as I kill Emma, and then we see, as he has his hands up, he has the old classic trick of having some sort of weapon in between, in like his sleeves and like his like the other part of his hand here, and it's seen to be a knife, and a knife, as we see Emma just pointing her gun at him, and we have this like Mexican standoff between the two. But then before we then cut to a quite nice cover page. The first page was in colour as well, and we get a nice cover page here where we see Emma, Ray and Norman playing a chess game with, like, from what I can tell, yeah, it's like pieces. It's like basically they're the chess masters, they're like the game masters of this world, and they're kind of like moving the pieces to where they want to go. But interesting here is that we get Perseus, like Lewis's demon monkey, just looking on them and thinking, and that again, I can't stress this enough, that gives me the impression that that's an indication that yes, that monkey demon is Lewis's second core. Anyway, moving into the chapter proper, we see Norman and Ray actually join Emma as they face down Piratari, and Peter's still trying to play the innocent game of like, oh please don't shoot me, I'm helpless now, it's over, I've lost, there's no future for me. He's thinking these things, he's saying, I've lost, it's over, there's no future for me. He's thinking those types of things. They have a revolution and a glorious future waiting for them. Well, I'm about to fall from grace and go to hell. And as soon as he says the word hell, he's like, hell. And this like actually triggers an effect in his brain. It's like, I'm gonna go to hell. It's like a realization in his head. It's like, wait a minute. And then he goes, hell, no, you all done too. if I kill Emma, the promise will never be implemented, and you'll go back to how, in a sense, going back to where they came from, which was basically Gracefield, as I'm going back into that same notion of just being food for the demons themselves. So he's basically doing the whole thing of like, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. Like basically, like, yeah, you're my enemy, so if I'm going down, you're going down as well. You know, none of us can live while the other survives. In a sense, that's basically the philosophy he is going with here as they continue to stare him down. And he's like, "Come and die with Daddy, my children." And he gives like just like the creepiest. Basically, he gives like a Joker type face from Batman. Like, you know how the Joker has all those creepy, like wacky sort of like psychotic faces that he gives. And he's like, "Come and join me in death, my children." Like kind of like that, and I love the shading that they did on his face. Like one half is white, one half is black. I love the shade. I love like the dynamic angles that they've been given Piratari, and just making him seem more of a threat than he actually is, because in a sense he's no bigger of a threat than Isabella was. Like Lewis was the biggest threat that the kids actually had to come across, and he certainly proved that in his fights that he had with the kids, or his interactions with the kids and his encounters with them. But Peter is even though he is powerful and he can be intimidating, in the end he's still human. And when his back is up to the wall, he's nothing more than a cowardly, Weasley scumbag, which is why I have mixed feelings about what happens when we get later on in the chapter. As Peter continues to play the long game with them, which is like, just a bit more, if I can do this, if I can get a little bit closer, I can kill them. And he's like, he's thinking one thing, but he's saying another. He's like, "I was wrong, I'll do anything, so please don't shoot me." And he's carried out 3 more steps, 1 more step. Now, but as he goes to pull the knife out and try to kill Emma, Emma brings up the thing that I was dreading that would happen, which is that, "We don't intend to kill you, we came here to talk to you." And it's like, does it make sense for Emma's character? Yes, but in terms of this particular person, I feel this is the one place where it's like, just shoot the bastard. Yeah, but even though that would kind of go against what Lucas and Hugo actually died for, like, this is why I have mixed feelings for it, because it's like, Peter is the one person where in this series where it's like, kill him and don't hesitate. Even if you hate his guts, and even if you think it's immoral to kill him because it will just lead to more revenge, he has done some of the most despicable, despising, horrible things, and there's no getting away from that. And I apologise if the quality went out of focus there a little bit, guys, when I'm doing that. So maybe I shouldn't do that in the future. But anyway, regardless of that, he is one of the most despicable, despised humans in this series, and yeah, not killing him, that's something I cannot agree with. But it does make sense, because Lucas and Hugo basically sacrificed themselves to go and face Andrew so that Emma Ray wouldn't actually have to kill him, and basically remove the innocence that they have, because they're still children, regardless of what we think about them. They're still children, and they still have that innocence that they have to grow and develop themselves. And maybe when they get a little bit more older, maybe they can be involved in more complex issues. It was only because Lewis kind of like put them back to a wall and basically said, "We have no other choice here. We have to fight." That's what made Emma feel like, okay, we have to kill him, basically, even though he is back to life now. So as Emma says that, "We're not going to kill you, we came here to talk to you," this actually is something Peter was not expecting. And again, it was something that I kind of knew what was coming, but at the same time, I kind of wish it didn't happen. And Peter at this point is just like, he's lowering his hands. It's like he's got his hands up, and he's like, "Please don't shoot me." And then Emma's like, "We've not come to kill you, we've come to talk to you." He's like, "Huh? Talk? What is this kid saying?" And then Emma goes on to say, inviolable, non-interference. "We won't retaliate or attack the Retired clan in any way. In return, we want you to improve our freedom." Again, does that make sense for Emma's character? Yes, it does, because she has been one of those characters who has been like, no matter what happens, I'm gonna get out of here without shedding any blood, as little blood as possible, so that we don't have that conscience on our hands to think that we got out of this through violence and bloodshed. Because at the end of the day, that would make them no better than the Rhetoric clan or the demons that have basically just been at this tug of war back and forth for over 1,000 years. Like, I know the promise came about 1,000 years ago, but even before then, they were probably at this tug of war themselves back in Julius Rhetari's time. And only Emma's been the one to actually really challenge, like, no, there must be a way that we can resolve these issues without actually fighting. And to be fair, she actually has done that, but at the same time, some people you just cannot reason with, and I really didn't want Peter Rhetari to be someone that you could actually reason with, because like I said, he is a despicable, despised, vile human being, and probably one of my most hated characters ever. Not hatred in the sense of like, oh my god, I hate seeing this character. It's more of a sense like he is hateable, but for all the right reasons. That's the kind of character that I'm thinking of. But even still, Emma trying to talk to him, that's something I didn't want it to go down. And what can you do? You're here now and just got to make lemons with an lemonade. Like I said, it does make sense for Emma's character for something like this to actually happen. I just personally wish it hadn't have happened this way. Emma carries on and explains to Peter that they'll all go to the human world, and she wants him to approve and not get in the way. To leave them alone. And Peter, like any sane person would in this situation, like now that's kind of weird considering he is the villain and he is quite psychotic. But hearing Emma say that, and after everything after everything the demons have done, and for her to say that, it's basically like the Moses thing. It's like, let my people go. That's basically what it is here, when Moses speaks to Ramesses and says, I want you to let my people go and let us go to freedom, let us go to do our own thing. Peter, like I said, like any person would on that side of the fence, goes, just laughs diabolically and goes, an idiot, she is an idiot. And yes, that's kind of one of the flaws that Emma has always had as a character. She's not an idiot, but completely naive. Even Crone said and I was really hoping that over the series she would kind of get over that naivety and realise that there are some situations that you just cannot talk your way out of it. But what can you do? But Peter does the most rational thing here and says, an idiot, she's an idiot. She's gonna let me live. She wants to talk. Is she crazy? Naive. She's naive to the end. She's an idiot. And yeah, I'm on Peter's side here in this situation. Like I said, there's some things that you just cannot talk your way out of it. And Peter goes on to question this, like, you're going to forgive me? Really? You're going to? But before Peter can actually get his answer, we cut to a flashback where we have Gillian basically arguing with Emma, basically doing the same thing that Peter was doing here, where basically Gillian is acting in the way that Peter would expect if it was to encounter Gillian in that corridor. She's basically giving the answers that Peter wants to hear, rather than the answers that Emma is giving him. She goes on to say, I can't forgive them, I'm never going to forgive them. And then she questions Emma in the flashback. It's like, how could you feel sorry for them, forgive them? And in the sense that she's talking about the demons, because in Goldie Pond, Lush was the demon that actually killed her sister, and for that reason Gillian cannot forgive him or any of the demons for that, or the Rhetari clan for basically putting them through that hell and the living nightmare that they've been through basically all their lives. But before Gillian can continue on, Emma actually gives her a resolve in the sense that they think that she, because of what she's doing, she's actually forgiven them. But it's kind of the opposite. It's like she says, I can't forgive them. There's no way I can. I hate them. So basically, Emma hates them just as much as them. But at the same time, she's seeing it a different way from what the others are actually seeing. All they're seeing in their eyes is just blind hatred. and wanting revenge about them and wanting them to suffer, where in actuality, from what we heard from Julius Vittori, he was basically put in a similar situation where he was forced to do the things for the demons, and at the same time his whole clan was forced to be under that iron grip of the demons, and thinking that even if all the demons were wiped out completely, that they would be in control, it was still the crutch of the demon king, of the demon god himself, that basically put him in this Julius and his entire clan, Peter included, in this position that they just cannot escape from. So in a sense, Emma is seeing them just as much as victims in the way that they are, and in the sense that some of the demons are, because they've all been kept under this tyrannical government that has just basically put them under this iron grip and basically made them subjugate all of them. And Emma is the one that has truly seen this, but at the same time, like I said, her biggest weakness is her naivety and thinking that sometimes words can actually work. Thinking that all the time words can work, where in some cases it's just not possible. As she saw, as was an example when she went to fight Lewis, and even though she tried to talk away out of actually fighting him, he was basically having none of that. Emma carries on and says, "I miss Hugo and Lucas. What they did to Mary and them, Norman and his friends, the fact that they built that hunting ground and the system of the farms and this road, it's unforgivable. Chris hasn't woken up yet either." So this is back before they actually went with Hayati to actually get that medicine for Chris. This is where that whole flashback is actually taking place. And again, I love the fact that they're actually, in the final arc, they've always constantly referencing events that have been played out from the series, kind of like everything was leading up to this moment, leading up to this end game, in a sense. So I've got to give the series commendable for that they actually keep referencing these events as if every event in the series prior to this one was building up to it. Emma continues on and says, okay, so we're back after the flashback, and Emma carries on and says, "I can't forgive you," which basically just gives Peter a confused look. He's like, "What? You don't want to kill me, and you want your freedom, but at the same time you cannot forgive me. I don't get this." And Emma carries on and says, "But I don't want to resolve this by killing you." So again, that does make sense for Emma's character, because even though she hates them, she realised throughout the series that violence is never the answer, and killing just leads to more killing and leads to more suffering and just leads to more despair, and she doesn't want that. She wants to maintain the pure-hearted nature that she actually has, and if she went down that route by just becoming a ruthless killer in later life, it would just make her just this bitter, ice-cold person, and no better than the Ratara clan or the demons themselves. Emma carries on and says, "Hating, resenting, fearing, I don't want to do that anymore. All those feelings are things I don't want anymore. We want to smile, we want to be free." So again, like I said, this actually does make sense for Emma's character in the sense that she just wants freedom, basically, and she wants freedom to just have a happy, normal life without the sense of being through this living nightmare all the time, and basically being forced to be part of this living nightmare by doing these horrible, despicable acts herself. She doesn't want that anymore. And she goes on to say, "That's what we've been fighting for all this time. It's not just our fate or circumstances, hatred and fear too. We don't want to be imprisoned by anything anymore, because we want," and then we go back to the flashback as well, so it's kind of confusing in this chapter, like we keep swapping back and forth between between the current timeline and then the past timeline. So we go back to the flashback as Emma carries on, as Norman says, "Because we want to be free," and Nigel adds to this conversation by saying, "It's hard to forgive them, but unless we do, we won't be truly free." And again, that's kind of like the theme of the Promised Neverland. That's kind of like one of the main themes of the Promised Neverland. How far can you go before you actually become your own worst enemy in and of yourself? In the sense that if you just carry on, keep killing everything in your path just to get your chance to freedom, then you're no better than the people that have actually put you in this situation in the first place. As Nigel says this, we get looks from everyone in the groups, which we don't know what they're actually thinking, but they're probably thinking the exact same thing, which is, even though it's hard for us to actually admit this, they are actually right, because again, if they're just constantly going around and just being hateful and full of revenge and resentment, then they're never going to truly be free to actually have happiness in life. They're always going to have that in their heads of like, we just want to kill them all. We hate them, we hate them, we hate them. We can't forgive them in any way. But the most powerful thing in the world is being able to forgive and move on, even though somebody has wronged you and done horrible, unspeakable acts, and then you can actually move past this and start the healing process in that sense. And Oliver carries on and says, got it, but it won't be easy to get through to him. Him meaning Peter Rattari. And again, that is actually true, because Peter, again, it's just one of the most horrible, despicable people in the world, and he's kind of so much up his own arse in sense of how powerful he is. It's kind of hard to actually talk to him and actually reason with him, even if not impossible. Like I said, there's just some people that you cannot reason with, and but Emma is obviously trying her best to actually reason with him. She goes on in the flashback to say, even so, I don't want to abandon communicating. I want to talk it out. And as she says this, Gillian just gives a look of like, are you fucking kidding me, Emma? Are you seriously fucking kidding me? After everything they've done, and you want to talk it out, and you want to try and see if you can actually reason with him. But rather than actually using this as a way to actually hate on Emma, Gillian actually just says, Emma, you're such a softie. Those are the words of a dreamer. And again, that is actually a flaw of Emma herself, in that she is such a dreamer and she's such naive that she can't see that. Sometimes she can't see the bigger picture, but at the same time, it's kind of a strength for her in the sense that she can see an even bigger picture than that smaller picture of just the weakness of her being naive and being such a dreamer, in the sense that she saw that they were all not just the humans but the demons as well, and even to an extent the Rattari clan, they were all under the tyrannical ruling of the government and the demon god itself, and unless they actually broke away from that chain, they were never going to actually have true freedom. They were all just going to be camped together in this in this land, basically serving people that they really didn't want to serve, and they just wanted to just basically have normal lives. Gillian continues on, and it seems like as she's saying the next bit, she's kind of like gritting her teeth. She's like, but fine, bring it on. Let's see how far we can. So she's basically saying that, even though I don't agree with you, Emma, fine, we're just gonna carry on and do our best here. And Emma is just like, huh? Just whining out blank facial expression. I don't know why she does that, but what do I know now? Nigel goes on to say, we've come this far already anyway. It's and Gillian's like, it's for our dear future. I don't want to regret if it. Does she say, it's for our dear future. I don't want to regret anything. Our sole objective is to win and have a discussion, and basically that's what they've done. They've succeeded in their execution of the plan. They've won, and now they can actually have a discussion. And as we see the demons that were knocked out by the groups that were attacking them, we see them actually regain consciousness, and they're like, "We're not dead. What's going on?" And Peter's just looking on and having in complete shock at this moment in time, like, I can't believe this is actually happening. This is actually happening here, and I don't know what to make of it. Emma goes on to say, the demons were only eating to live. Mum and the staff's only choice to survive was serving us to the demons, and Julius Rattari just didn't want to see any more people die in war. We also killed in order to survive. So basically, again, it was just the back and forth killing in order to survive, and just more, and just this entire revenge led to more revenge, led to even more revenge, and basically led to even more suffering and despair, and just wallowing in self-pity and being feeling like you are actually worthless, where in fact you could be in a world where you have all your dreams come true, you're basically happy, and you don't have to be in fear of actually dying or actually being forced to actually kill in order to survive, and watch your friends actually suffer and die as a result of your mistakes or your actions, as we've seen throughout the series. And Emma goes on to say, we can't be indifferent to the suffering of Mom and Julius. I can't criticise them for being weak. I thought a lot about it. if demons weren't creatures that ate humans, maybe they could have been our friends. And yeah, she's not actually wrong, because there have been some good demons in that, like Aishi's father, Song Jun, music that you can, and to some extent, Lewis, you could actually, even though he was a psychotic, mass murdering demon, you could still actually have decent conversations with him. You could actually sit down and talk things with him, talk about your ideals and your philosophy. Even though in the end you're probably going to rip each other to shreds, but at the same time, you could at least actually come to actually have an understanding of each other's strengths and weaknesses when it came to Lewis himself. So in a sense, Emma is actually right. If the demons weren't creatures that ate humans, then yes, maybe they could have worked together with the humans to actually overcome various obstacles in life and actually form an even greater society in that regard. And I think I finally get what Emma's actually trying to do here. She's trying to show Peter that they're not so different, as she says in the next in the next little sentences. She says, "If I had been born into the retired camp, maybe I could have done something for the children. And if Peter had been born in Gracefield, maybe they could have been friends. Just because our positions are different, we fight degrade and hate each other. But if we take away our positions, if we think that maybe we wouldn't have, if we think that way, maybe we wouldn't have to hate on each other." So again, she's saying that if we just take away our positions, if we just strip it down to our bare basics, like we're all human, maybe then we could have actually been friends. And in a sense, you're no different, Peter, than I am, because you've been put in a position that you basically have no choice but to abide by, and you've just taken it to this insane degree. And if you were born in my position and born and raised with me in Gracefield House, maybe then we could have been friends. Now, there's one thing I actually want to talk about here as we go through various things throughout the world. We see people suffering together, starving together, at war together. We see one little panel where we see three guys beating up on another guy, but we see one little panel that actually has the words of a particular virus that is spreading throughout the world right now. I am not going to say its name, but you guys know what basically the biggest tragedy in recent memory that is actually happening right now. Yeah, that is in this chapter. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they actually got away with actually putting that in the chapter. Emma carries on and says to Peter that he has his own sense of justice, as he wanted to protect the two worlds. And this is when Peter's actually starting to get gears turning in his head. And Emma carries on and says, "I was raised as food and I can't ever forgive you for what you did to us, but there are people who were protected by the Batari clan sacrificing us. I'm sure you had your own struggles, like protecting the world or choosing the world of your own family. You also have had a fate you were burdened with from the moment you were born." And that's going back to the promise that actually Julius Retire made, in the sense that his clan had to be the mediator between the promise and between the two worlds. And basically, he had no choice but to do the things that he did, even though at the end of the day he still took it to this insane degree. And you've got like this god complex going through him, and that's something that Emma cannot forgive him for. But at the same time, she at least can understand from his point of view what has actually been going on. Emma carries on and says, "Let's be free, all of us. We're all prisoners, the demons, the humans, yes, both you and us. But the world will change. We can change it now." And as Emma throws her gun away, she holds out her hand to Pierre Retire and says, "Let's change. Let's end the 1,000 years of suffering as well. 1,000 years of suffering now. Let's live together." And as we see flashbacks from various events throughout the series, right down to Julius making the promise and basically realising what a colossal mess he actually made of it in the first place, to demons just attacking humans, or to Julius meeting the demon god. Emma holds out her hand and says, let's live together, Peter Retari. And Peter's just sweating balls here, and we have no idea what he's actually thinking right now. And that's where the chapter ends. So, like I said, pretty mixed chapter. It's not the direction that I hoped the series would actually go in, but at the same time, Does it make sense for Emma's character? Of course it did. Of course it does. Now, what I think is going to actually happen now is Peter's actually going to give his actual answer to what Emma's actually saying, and it can go either way. It can go the way of like, live together with you, live together with food, bollocks. It could actually go through, it could actually go that way, and I wouldn't be surprised if it actually went that way. Or it could go the way of like Peter actually realising that he never actually considered himself a prisoner, but now that he's actually heard Emma out, he's like probably getting the gears turning in his head now, like, I'm a prisoner? I never actually thought of it that way. I never actually thought all of us being prisoners. I thought I was the one in command now, but now that Lewis has come in and basically ruined all that, it's made me see that, yeah, I'm no different from the food that I've been berating, from the cattle that I've been killing off, and for the people that I've had under my thumb that I've basically killed off without any hesitation. And yeah, that's something Emma probably will never forgive Peter as well for killing, is the people who he deemed as traitors. But what can we do? And hopefully I will be able to continue doing these videos as we go through this, as we go through the certain tragedy that's going on right now in the world. But anyway, guys, that's it for now. What did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasher Luke signing off. Later, guys.